Well, good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. We are happy to have in studio this week and every week at this time, Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you this morning?
Good, thank you. First, I wanted to kind of get another little look at the incident that happened up in Belfair. It was a traffic stop that turned into a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, I am not going to go into the actual details of the investigation because that's being done by an outside agency. But incidentally, you had mentioned you were talking to one of the commanders in the patrol. I happened to be on the phone with him when that occurred, and it came across his radio, and we were listening to it. And I was at a different location, and one of our deputies just effected a traffic stop, and as he approached the vehicle, he heard a gunshot, and after a little bit of follow-up quickly, he was able to determine that the person in the car had shot themselves. Really challenging in today's times because I talked to the deputy last week, and he's doing okay, but you walk up to a car, and the challenge is you don't know where that always came from.
Right.
And given today's times, you've got to be thinking about all kinds of things. And I'm sure that, for him and for us, it's very disturbing to hear that kind of a call come out across the radio.
What are the next steps that happen? Now, you've mentioned an outside group is investigating this. What's the point of that?
Yeah, well, we technically don't have to do that. That shooting review team was started many years ago when I was at Thurston County, and we actually, one of our first investigations was here on a shooting in that year many years ago. And we use that just so it's an independent look at that circumstance. This was not an officer-involved shooting, clearly, but because there was a deputy near the incident, near the scene, we just felt it was more prudent to ask that agency to come out and do that investigation for us. I think it's just easier on that kind of thing to have that happen.
Okay, interesting. We are in the end of July. Before you know it, kids are going to be back at school. You're working with the schools this week, aren't you?
Yes, we have just a most tremendous opportunity this last year and a half. Something that has always concerned me. I was a public school teacher, and I've got administrative credentials, and so I've been in that arena as well. Coming into Mason County is to have all of our schools coordinated as to how we respond to safety events that occur, whether it's an earthquake or whatever kind of natural disaster that could be, or an incident involving a person. And I had the opportunity in another agency to be part of a program that we worked with the school so that we all had a basic understanding of how things were going to operate no matter which school that fire and law responded to or what kind of an incident it is, so it was consistent. With Dana Rosenbach coming as our new superintendent in North Mason, and Alex Apostle at the south end, and a couple others within the superintendents, we were able to get together and decide that, yes, we need to have a response plan that's consistent across the county. And it's the first time we've had everybody with buy-in to do that. And I had the opportunity to go with Mrs. Rosenbach at North Mason High School and attend those in Kitsap County for the last couple of years, some trainings that are going on there. We're viewing a program called the Salem-Kaiser model of threat assessment to schools. We are, the city and put on with the primary, I put on a training here a while back for the Shelton Public Schools initially. We're taking that training, county's putting on a training with, I believe it's 7 school districts, and I think we're 20 schools in Mason County, including our private schools, to form a training program so that we're all operating on the same sheet of music, so it's consistent for law enforcement, it's consistent for our schools.
But that wouldn't be if an incident happened in the Shelton School District. There would be a lockdown in the North Mason end, would there? Or is it just
not necessarily, but it could be anything. We've had circumstances to where we've had power outages, or we've had something go wrong and just in the building itself with the structure in the school, and we'll ask for a law enforcement response, just how are we going to move cars out of the area and get parents into the area if there's a power outage or a windstorm, or it's not necessarily just that kind of a threat that people want to think about with a person, or it could be that. But we review the school safety plans on how are we going to move people in and out of the building, make notifications, and those kind of things, so that we're pretty much all on the same page across the way. So they know how law enforcement and fire is going to respond, and the school districts know what it's going to look like when we come onto the campus, and the format and the process that we're going to use to handle those circumstances.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we'll be together for a week of training, and a couple outside outside agencies will be here, along with, we team up with the Shelton Police Department on all these, because in Mason County, it's going to be who you get. It's going to be a deputy and a police officer, a game agent, a state trooper, Department of Natural Resources officer, tribal units. So we're a very, very diverse county as far as the law enforcement response.
Okay, so that does make sense to have everybody looking through the same playbooks.
Yes.
There. Okay. And finally, domestic terrorism, you're going to get some training on that.
Yeah, it was one of the advantages of a few years ago. I had the opportunity of a lifetime to go to the FBI Academy and graduate from the National Academy. And the connections you make there are connections from all over the world, including all over the country in the United States with the Bureau, and seeing what programs they have to offer when you're back there. And so with all this going on in the world today, it made it very nice. It's more convenient to be able to call people that you know within the Bureau that are looking at things on a national level and bringing it down to the state level. We're also teaming with them and looking at different things that are occurring in our country. And I had the opportunity to attend a training in Eastern Washington as the president of WASPIC. And so I asked the Bureau if they would be interested in coming out here and sitting down with our local agencies. And we're going to be having a training to do with that the Bureau is going to put on for us. So it's really appreciate their time, energy, and effort into that, and actually they were really glad to come out here and do that.
Is that the national FBI or the local district office, or a combination?
No, the FBI has offices all over the country and all over the world. I spoke to the guy that instructed the class on the east side, and we made some connections, and we have a person that's more local. It's a long ways to come over from Spokane, so we have one of the local trainers from our area, from the FBI coming out. And closer by, and more convenient than driving across the state. So,
sure.
There'll be a few agents with us, and the multi-agencies from our Region 3 area that I meet with will be together for that.
Do you ever work with the FBI in allowing the public to learn any of these skills? Are there training seminars or things that the public can get involved with?
I'm not sure if they do that. The challenge is the Bureau and most all law enforcement agencies and are in the same circumstances. Your number of resources to be able to do these kind of things are really, really tough. And so when we can put together a program when we're gonna gather a group of us in an area from a region and have a regional training, it's much easier than going to individual agencies, and it goes out from there, because they're limited on the number of agents that they have to cover each state and the country and across the world. And so when we're able to have those relationships with them that we had, and that's part of being able to attend the National Academy and be a part of the FBI family there, and that's their intent, is to reach out to local agencies on a local level by having people in the community that have worked with them. And so that's the advantage to sending people back there. And I really hope, I know that I've got one person in my agency that's going to be, I don't know if I'm the first one ever to do that from our area, but I think so, that we're going to follow up with one person in my agency is now on that list, but it can take years and years and years to be able to be accepted into that program just because everybody's putting in. And so I'm hoping we continue to follow that for years to come, because the availability of resources is much greater when you've been a graduate of the academy. Oh,
I bet. I can only imagine. Mason County Sheriff Casey Salisbury in Weekly at this time, and we thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you.
We'll take a break, and we'll be back after this.
Another attack in Germany.